Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in my quaint little converted garage. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all that good stuff. We are lucky, nay, blessed to be joined today by Chris Parker, aka 3C Films. Chris, how you doing?
Yeah, doing well, John. Thank you so much for having me on.
I love that shirt, man.
Oh, thank you.
I love that shirt. Also joining us, of course, is our technical director, Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. And here's how the show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show is when we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like me to address, as long as I deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into the super chat feature. You got to be watching live in order to do that. And we'll get around to it on the second part of the show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started. As we have the last couple of days on a very sad note. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say the voice of my childhood has passed away. Peter Cullen, who of course did a lot in his career, but will always be most known for being the voice of Optimus Prime, has passed away at the age of 85. Till all are one. I remember when they were talking about they were going to do a live action Transformers movie. And I think they were looking at different actors to maybe be the voice of Optimus Prime. And it's just, there's really no reason not to have it be the voice of Peter Cullen. And sure enough, they were right. And Peter Cullen, again, I would often joke, guys, that when I was a kid, if like Optimus Prime came to me in a vision when I was younger and said, John, I want you to commit these horrible atrocities against humanity. Oh, no. I'd be like, well, it's Optimus Prime, so it's got to be okay. I mean, there's not much I wouldn't have done if told by the voice of Optimus Prime to go and do it. And, Peter, lest we forget, had a robust, fantastic voice career. And it wasn't just Optimus Prime. I mean, he was the narrator in Defenders of the Universe and Voltron. Of course, he did a couple of characters as well. He was the iconic voice of Eeyore. Recently in Invincible, he was Thetis in Invincible. He was the voice of Kit's evil twin Car in Knight Rider. Monterey Jack and Chip and Dale. He was the Predator, the little clicks and whatever. That was him. Obviously, he did several voices in the Transformers, but one of the most notable ones, of course, other than Optimus, was Ironhide. He was even the voice before Chris Pratt of Mario in the Saturday Supercade. And he was Venger in the Dungeons and Dragons animated series, and on and on and on and on. He had a long, illustrious, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say he might be not the most important voice actor of all time, but as far as general people know, maybe the most famous pure animated voice actor of all time. And again, it's a very personal thing to me because he was Optimus Prime. Yeah. And that voice is on the same level to me as the voice of James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. It's just inseparable in my mind. And moving forward, if you ever get somebody to do the voice of Optimus Prime, just like Darth Vader, you got to get somebody who sounds like James Earl Jones. You got to get somebody who sounds like Peter Cullen. Notwithstanding Transformers 1 that had Chris Hemsworth, because it was supposed to be a much younger Optimus Prime, I was totally fine with that. By the way, Transformers 1, really good movie. Everybody should have seen it, and none of you did.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. But at any rate, Peter Cullen passes away. Chris, I know you are a fan of Transformers. We heard the voice this morning. We heard the news this morning of Peter Cullen passing away again at the age of 85.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts when you think about the career, obviously, of the great Peter Cullen?
Yeah, this was a big one, John, and like you pointed out, every morning has been almost a scare to hit the refresh tab, just the way things have been going down, and this was another big one, and a lot of uh, it's one voice, but it's a voice that has carried on, has meant a lot to a lot of people, and it's even more in the world today that we live in, where it's like, who could even replace him in terms of going forward? Who could even match what he brought to the character of Optimus Prime? There's so many great lines, even not just from the cartoons, but even in the live action movies that he brought to life so well. This is one that definitely stung whenever I saw it. To me, also, even just going back, and I was like, there must have been more, and you brought them all up there. I had no idea about like he was one of the original voices for like the Yautja in the first Predator movie. uh with something like this, I definitely agree with you in terms of it's up there with the James Earl Jones. It's up there with the Kevin Conroy. And they have Transformer comics, and it's the voice I'm just always gonna want to hear in my head.
Right?
Whenever
I was going to say that even when you read the comics, you cannot help but hear Peter Cullen's voice in your head when you're reading Optimus Prime.
So yeah, I'm right there with you. Awful loss. It sucks, but it's also nice he's had a really long, good, and impactful life, and but we lost one today.
Yeah, and it's just it's weird to think that we are never going to truly hear Peter Cullen doing Optimus Prime again. Just horrible news, but at the same time, a great opportunity to celebrate this, not just him being Optimus Prime, this incredible career he had. Guys, the question is for you. What are you going to think about today when you think about Peter Cullen and his career and what he did for animation, but what he also did for all of us who loved watching Transformers? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, there was an interesting report in the Wrap that kind of laid out something that, to be honest, we already knew, but it was still something kind of worth pointing out. According to this one coming into us from CBR, James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios' fate confirmed after Paramount takeover. Well, I think, as it is often the case with a lot of these outlets that use the word confirmed, I think confirmed is the most misused and wrongly used term ever, because, James Gunn didn't say this, but the basic gist of it is that yet another report, this one coming to us from the Wrap, with their sources now confirming that Paramount's plan, David Ellison's plan, at any rate, is indeed to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran. This is the quote in question that we go to. This is, of course, from the Wrap. It says, Paramount insiders said that the studio plans to keep Abdi, that's Pam Abdi, and Mike DeLuca at Warner. They, of course, run the Warner Brothers Pictures side, in a merged system alongside other top creative execs at the studio like New Line Cinema's Richard Brenner and DC Studios' James Gunn and Peter Safran, who have met with Ellison. Now, that's a key part in there, that they've met with Ellison. And that's why this is not really breaking news, because many of you guys will remember that a while ago, we found out that, now listen, I give David Ellison a lot of crap, deservedly so, because he's a dick. But that being said, I also like to give credit where it's due, and he's done some things quite right. And one of the things that David Ellison did not long ago was he actually got on a plane, flew overseas, and went to visit and meet with James Gunn on the set of Man of Tomorrow. Now, we talked about this a number of months ago, and in that meeting, we found out, basically, David Ellison laid out his pitch for James Gunn and Peter Safran to stay once the merger goes through. And it was at that point that we at least said on our show, and some others did as well, that, oh, well, it's official. That on top of another statement Paramount put out saying they plan to keep all the key creative leadership at Paramount in place. And that included, of course, James Gunn. There had been some rumblings and whisperings and some theories that if Paramount took over Warner Brothers, that the first thing they were going to do is get rid of James Gunn and Peter Safran. That was obviously not true. And David Ellison even got on a plane, flew over the pond just to give his pitch to James Gunn and Peter Safran. So according now to this report, again, coming to us from The Wrap, they're just doubling down. They say, yes, it's been confirmed to us that this is all the place that David Ellison said. Now, here's the thing that everybody has to keep in mind. It's great and wonderful that David Ellison, rightfully so, wants to keep James Gunn. That's fine. That's cool. But make no mistake about it, I still don't believe that James Gunn is sticking around. I just don't buy that he's sticking around. I don't know whether Peter Safran will or not. But, I had some people write in today, every day, guys, once after I've been working on the show for about an hour or so, and I gather the first round of stories, I put out a post every day on our community tab. And I say, hey guys, putting the last notes together. If you got anything you want me to make sure we cover, mention it here. And I had a bunch of people write in today that said things like this. And I quote, did you hear that James Gunn is sticking around no matter what? Source, Deadline. I read the Deadline article. That's not what it said. Did you hear that did you hear James Gunn is now saying he's staying? No, he did not. I need this to be clear to everybody. There are two things that are equally true right now. Number one, David Ellison smartly is trying to pitch to keep James Gunn to stay. He's trying to get James Gunn to stay. If the merger goes through. And that's a whole nother can of worms that we'll have to address another time. But if it does go through, he's trying to pitch and convince James Gunn to stay. The second thing is, that's great, but I still believe, and James Gunn has not told me this, I could be wrong, 100% I could be, but I still believe that James Gunn, once he gets the contractual right in the middle of 2027, when his current contract runs out, that's when he gains the contractual right to walk away. And I believe that if the Paramount merger goes through, that James Gunn is going to walk. Now, that might not happen. James Gunn may, as has happened to me before, James Gunn may actually jump on social media and say, no, that's not true. God bless him if that's true. I would love for him to stick around DC. I really would. But I just think, guys, that there are, I made a video about this before, there are greener pastures for James Gunn. I think if the Paramount, number one, I think Kevin Feige would love to have James Gunn back in under the MCU, maybe take back up the position he was going to have under Kevin Feige before he left the first time. I think every other studio would be rolling out the red carpet like they did the last time he was a free agent and basically offer him whatever he wants. So look, again, he may decide to stay. He may decide to leave. But what now has been confirmed is the fact that it is, at least in Paramount's plan, to do their best to try to keep James Gunn. Again, what will happen with Peter Safran, what Peter wants to do, I don't know. Like, Peter may want to hitch his wagon with James, and if James stays, he'll stay. If James goes, he'll go. He may decide to split if James stays. He may decide to stay if James goes. I mean, I don't know what Peter will do. That will be something we'll have to keep an eye on as well. But as far as this goes, yeah, Paramount wants to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran. Whether or not they want to stay is still a question, regardless of what you're hearing from anybody else. Anyway, Chris, this has been a hot issue of debate amongst the fan circles. Well, ever since the proposed merger was even brought up and mentioned. Anyway, what do you think about this new report going on? And ultimately, what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, there's a lot of angles to this. I mean, one, it is crazy how many times, even just in my lifetime, DC has been up for grabs in this sort of conversation with there could be a change in power. There could be a change in it. Like, it's we've gone through this roller coaster ride now about like 3-4 times. And here we are again with this, the possibility of it. When it comes to James Gunn on whether he's going to continue to run, I actually do kind of agree with you, John, on that. I think once his contract comes up, he is probably going to walk away. I feel for different reasons. One, I think at the end of the day, James Gunn is a creative head. He's a director at heart. He's a creative, and I think he learned the Kevin Feige job is just not as easy as it's. And I mean, I think he sees that, he understands that, and he goes, "I'm just a director. I make movies, overseeing a larger universe, and all this maybe bit off a little bit more than I could chew, and I would rather just go off to continue to do the projects I'm more passionate about." I mean, James Gunn has been making comic book movies for almost 10 years or more now, right? And
Yeah, with Guardians
I gotta imagine he maybe has other ambitions. Maybe he's a little done of the capes and tights. Maybe he, goes back to his days of a Slither or something. He has other ideas. Now, you also mentioned he'd go back to Marvel. I actually don't think he would ever go back either. I think he's, in my mind, I think he's still hurt over what happened, even though I know that's not Kevin Feige who did that to him. I think in the end, he probably has a plan laid out. He's talked about it before in interviews. He's like, "Oh, we have a 10-year plan, or we have this plan." I think he's going to leave Warner Brothers with that plan and say, "This is my blessing for you to continue on. This is what I would have done, but I kind of want to go off." And I think Peter Safran is someone who will stay with Warner Brothers and do, because he's the businessman. I think Peter, he respects James Gunn. He probably realizes creatively he probably wants to move on, but I think Peter is. He's a businessman. He still wants to handle the business side of things, and maybe that's just how the split will go. It's like, I'll make sure Gunn's vision gets sawed through. So, in my mind, that's how I see it. But I mean, if he decided to stay and continue, he has not done enough wrong in the DCU for me to be like, yeah, we need James out of there. I'm still on board and very excited for his Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. As far as I'm concerned, especially with how good Lanterns is right now, to me, it's he's had 4 at bats and there's only been 1 strikeout. It was a big strikeout, Supergirl, but it's only been 1 out so far. He's hit a couple of home runs and a couple of doubles, so I'm good with it. I used to think like you did, Chris, that maybe going back to Marvel might be a sore spot for him, but he did go back to do Guardians 3.
Yeah,
and not only that, but it was never a Kevin Feige issue. I mean, obviously, he's still very tight with Kevin Feige. James Gunn has said, in interviews, he said the very first phone call he made once he accepted the job was to Kevin Feige and to tell Kevin. The two are very, very tight. And on top of that, anybody who was involved in him leaving isn't there anymore, right? Bob Iger, who may or may not have anything to do with him leaving in the first place, but Bob Iger's not there. Alan Shore's no longer there. It's Alan Bergman now and Josh D'Amaro, and it's a whole new crew of people. But even when it was the same people, he did go back to make another movie with them, even though he already accepted a new job at DC. So again, that's not me making a case that he is going to go back to Marvel. I just think it's on the table. You know what I mean?
Well, but even if he goes back to Marvel, it's not a leadership role. It would be as a director. So that means he literally, there's no, in my mind, there's no going back to Marvel, and that's where you have to stay and you can't do anything else. So if he went back to Marvel, it would be for 1 or 2 movies. In the meantime, he could go do a movie for WB still, WB proper, even if it's merged, or Universal. And then, I mean, we talked about it before. There's also an idea where if the merger goes through, but they have to divest DC, I could see something like NBC Universal buying DC Studios, and
NBC
Gunn
Universal would be a prime candidate.
And going to Universal, and literally Gunn just drives out of the driveway, goes around Smokehouse and pulls into Universal.
Smokehouse is one of our favorite restaurants, by the way.
And it's sandwiched right between the 2 studios.
Here's the thing. I don't think he would be going back to Marvel just to direct a couple of pictures. Remember, right before everything exploded and he left, Kevin Feige had just appointed him as kind of like the guy who was going to head up the galactic side of the MCU. He was going to kind of oversee all that. But I think it's bigger than that. I think if James Gunn goes back to DC, it's all about succession. I think if James Gunn goes back to DC, I've said for a couple of years now, I think Kevin Feige is not necessarily going to happen this year or next year, but I think Kevin Feige has done everything he can possibly accomplish at Marvel. I think he has his end game mapped out. And then I think Kevin Feige is going to be looking for a bigger mountain to climb and to conquer at some point. And if you're going to do that, you've got to have a succession plan. And there's nobody I think Kevin Feige would trust more with Marvel than James Gunn. And so I think if he were to go there, it would be going there with Kevin pitching him the idea of Succession.
Yeah. But I think part of that conversation, and I think you'd agree with this, is Kevin is he would say, look, but this means you're leading the production. You're not directing 5 films and producing all of Marvel Studios.
Yeah, I mean, that's something James has to learn. But anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Yet now the Wrap is again confirming that, yes, Paramount wants to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran, which is just really what we've already known from before when David Ellison made the very shrewd move to fly overseas just to meet with James Gunn. The question is going to be whether James Gunn wants to stay, and I am still skeptical about that. But who knows what's going through James Gunn's head right now. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You guys remember that on yesterday's show, we took a few minutes for me to give my review of Coyote versus Acme, which, while it may not end up in my top 10 favorite films of the year list, it is a unrelentingly charming and funny movie that is thoroughly entertaining, and y'all should go see. It's a really fun movie. I think everybody should see it. Now, one of the stars of that movie, Lana Condor, I kept looking at going, what do I know her from again? What do I know her from? And my wife said, she's the girl from To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I'm like, honey, I've never watched one frame of that. I have no idea what I'm talking. It must be something else. And then I realized afterwards, she was Jubilee in X-Men Apocalypse, which I totally forgot about. And now in the midst of all the casting stuff, she's now confirmed that she's been talking to the filmmakers about possibly returning as Jubilee. But there's a caveat to that, a big one that the headlines aren't telling you. It's a little bit down in the fine print. So let's go down and read that, shall we? First of all, Lana Condor, known for playing Jubilee in 2016's X-Men Apocalypse, talked about potential return to the role. The 29-year-old actor, that's an important note, we're going to come back to that, 29-year-old actor, confirmed she's spoken with filmmakers about bringing the mutant back during a chat with the director at San Diego Comic-Con. It's important to note that Marvel Studios is currently full speed ahead casting the 2028 X-Men movie. In Apocalypse marked Condor's first film acting credit, and with Marvel's new mutant team taking shape, fans wonder if she could possibly return. She said this, "I would love nothing more than to come back as Jubilation Lee. That's all I've been hearing. But no real conversations. I mean, I've talked to the filmmakers and been like, hey, listen, I'm 10 years older now. I know more. Bring me back. So we'll see." So 3 very, very key things that have to be noted in this. Number 1, she has talked to the filmmakers. Number 2, those talks are not to the level that she would say are official conversations about coming back. And number 3, she does want to come back and reprise the role of Jubilation Lee. I thought there were a lot of problems with X-Men Apocalypse. Her as Jubilee was not one of those problems. I also just watched Coyote versus Acme, and I thought she was delightful in that movie. However, there is one glaring elephant in the room problem that one cannot just get around. In principle, I like the idea of her as Jubilee. I do. Although I think this might be a better Jubilee. I think that's a better Jubilee. For those of you who don't know, that's why I'm a fan. I think that's a better Jubilee. But no, I do like the idea of her as Jubilee. But the problem is this. Your new Jean Grey is mid-20s. Your new Cyclops is early to mid-20s. Jubilation Lee is the kid member of the X-Men, cannot be 5 years older than Cyclops and Jean Grey. It feels weird to say it, guys, but at 29 years old, Grandma, this ain't your place anymore. Bring out your cane, Jubilation Lee. No, I mean, it feels weird saying it, but she's simply too old for the role now. At 20, you need to, if you're going to have Cyclops and Jean Grey at the ages they're at, then you need to go out and get a teenage actor.
John,
if you want Jubilation Lee.
I would like to give you Exhibit A. If it worked for Beverly Hills 90210, where half the teenagers were 30 and almost 40, it could work here.
I forget the name of the girl, but bring up that picture again. The one in the middle at the top. She was in her mid-30s. Yeah, when they were as a high school student.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going to be doing all these other look, if you want to have all your X-Men cast that are like in their 30s, but you're saying they're all in their mid-20s, maybe you can get away with that. But when you're actually casting actors in their 20s, I don't think you can then go and get an actor who's supposed to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years their junior and say she's Jubilation Lee.
And you need them to go for another decade at least, right? So
yes, that's the thing, right? You are they're casting these X-Men in the hopes. I mean, nobody expects them to be playing this role for 30 years like Hugh Jackman, but you hope you're getting people on board that can play these roles for 10 plus years. You're hoping. And so, I mean, that unfortunately does age her out of it, unfortunately, which is too bad because I think she's delightful. I really enjoyed her in Coyote versus Acme, and I look forward to seeing other stuff she's in. But yeah, this is one that is not going to happen. Anyway, Chris, you saw this report. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, to me, this is one of those stories you see headline around where, actor says, "Oh, I'd love to be in it." And then everyone takes that as they're going to be in it. Then it's confirmed or it's everywhere. And, I like you. I enjoyed her in Coyote vs. Acme. I thought she was delightful in that film. But once you see the cast that they announced at D23, it's pretty clear one, young and just fresh new actors. So that immediately, I think, just rules out anybody from the past, unless you're Ryan Reynolds Deadpool or who even knows a Hugh Jackman Wolverine. That's the only people I could see somehow making the crossover to the new X-Men movies. And even then I have my doubts about like Hugh Jackman as staying, but so with that, it's like, it was nice. And I think Jubilee is also one of those underrated characters in the live action movies that they never fully utilize. Even her role in Apocalypse, I think, was so rather small. I think she really only had like, I think that I don't even know if they showed her powers off. I can't even remember a scene like that, but that'd be one of those roles that I bet like, oh, now we could have the chance to actually have her do more. And with that, I think you would want to go with someone that fits the cast that they done. So although it would be nice, and there's always a possibility she could join the world, but I don't think as Jubilee, maybe as a different character. We'd be happy to have her. Ryan Gosling as Jubilee. That's hilarious.
And by the way, there's one other problem that we're not even talking about. Which is they're not bringing back anybody who's played the role before. Yeah. It's a new Cyclops. So. It's a new Jean Grey. It's a new Professor X. It's a new Emma Frost. It's it's our first Mr. Sinister. It's going to be, I'm not expecting them to announce Michael Fassbender coming back as Magneto. So that's the other big strike against this, is that they're not going back to get characters who have already played the role. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, I really like this girl. I like her a lot. Yeah. But unfortunately, the way they're structuring the new X-Men and the way they're aging the new X-Men, I mean, that just simply doesn't leave this as a possibility. But maybe you think there is a way to make it happen. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, one of the things that made the MCU completely great and so successful for year after year after year after year after year through phases 1, 2, and 3 is the fact, and this I think is the key thing other than the fact that the movies were good, was what led to its constant growth and huge success is the fact that every single project Marvel put out, Kevin Feige wanted to make sure was a completely safe and valid entry point for a new fan. Want to watch Ant-Man 2? This is a totally perfectly good movie for you to come in and make your first Marvel film. You're not going to be completely lost. You want to watch, I don't know, Iron Man 3? we're going to do it in such a way that if this is your first MCU movie, you're not going to feel lost. You're going to understand what's going on. You might not get all the nuance that everybody else does, but it's going to be fine. Marvel has kind of lost their way with that. And Kevin Feige's acknowledged that. And they said they're going to get back around to that once we get past Secret Wars, which makes the latest quote and comment from the Russo brothers, who I am very biased for. And I love these guys. I love Joe and Anthony Russo. They're amazing. But it made a new comment they just made as one that I have to do my best, Mr. Spock, and raise an eyebrow. That wasn't a very good eyebrow raise. But they're saying now that this Avengers Endgame Encore that's coming out is not just fun, isn't just a good idea. They're literally telling you it's mandatory. And the word they're using is required if you're going to watch Avengers Doomsday, which is a really stupid thing to say for several reasons, but we'll get to that in just a second. Here's what actually said. This is the Russos in an interview they recently did with Fandango. They wrote, "It's going to connect the story of the two movies," Joe Russo told Fandango. "There's a natural progression from Endgame into Doomsday, which is also inclusive of the other stories that have been playing out. I think it is required viewing for following the story in Doomsday." Anthony added, "If you saw Endgame when it was originally released, you couldn't see this coming." I want to read that last part again. He says, "I think it is required viewing for following the story in Doomsday." Okay. I have a couple of thoughts about this. Again, let me re-emphasize my love for these two guys. They've always been extremely nice to me personally. Jonathan, we've had them in studio several times. Yeah. I've had a number of opportunities, and they have always just been the most wonderful, amazing, true fans of the genre guys, and I will forever be very biased for them. And I just think they're incredible. And obviously I love their work. I mean, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. I mean, their work with Kevin Feige. Now, that being said, this is a dumb statement. And it's really dumb for two different reasons. Number one, if they're right, let's say they're right. There's two different things I want to explore. They're right and they're wrong. Let's start with the scenario that they're right. And they're right in saying you can't follow the story of Doomsday unless you go and watch Avengers Endgame Encore, because it is required for following the story in Doomsday. Okay, let's say they're right. Let's say they're right about that. You do know that only between probably $1 and $200 million worth of people, which is a lot, are going to go see Avengers Endgame Encore, right? So are you telling me that the other 80% of people who are going to go see Doomsday are doomed? They're literally going to be sitting. Think about that. All the other people,
Doomsdayed.
the 9 out of the 10 other people are going to be sitting in the movie theater, the 9 out of the 10 who didn't go to watch Avengers Endgame Encore, by saying this is required if you're going to follow the story of Doomsday. What he just said was that 9 out of every 10 people sitting in that theater when you're watching Doomsday are going to be, what's happening? Wait, what? I don't get it. Because they didn't go see Encore, which you just said is required to be able to follow the story of Doomsday.
I think we mostly got the story from the trailer so far. I really don't think we need to see. Like, I kind of get it.
But no, the new stuff is required. You're not going to be able to follow the story of Doomsday. Again, I'm not putting words in their mouth. The direct quote, it's required viewing for following the story in Doomsday.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate, heavy-handed marketing.
But again, we're playing under the scenario that they're right.
Yes.
That they're correct.
So if they're right,
it's one of the stupidest things any studio could possibly do.
Big mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you're saying, hey, everybody, you're not going to be able to follow the story unless you come out also and watch Endgame Encore. Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
I had a
go ahead.
follow-up. Well,
What's the follow-up?
my only then caveat to that is, are they going to release that information onto Disney Plus before we get to Doomsday, so that anyone that didn't see it in theaters can rewatch Encore, or at least rewatch the added footage on Disney Plus?
But even if they did, what we've learned from Mandalorian and Grogu, not all moviegoers watch Disney Plus or have Disney Plus, right?
And vice versa.
So now let's look at the second scenario. And that he just misspoke. He's wrong. And that essentially what he was really trying to say was, and this can happen in the context of an interview, right? Like you're being asked a question, you don't have 30 minutes to plan out your answer. You just so maybe what he was really trying to say is, hey, we think this will add a lot to your experience. We think this little, and by the way, the report came out today. It's about 4 minutes of new stuff we're going to see, about 4 minutes. That's not enough to change a lot, but it's 4 minutes. Maybe what he was meaning to say was, hey, we think this will be a really nice bridge between the movies, that if you're a real hardcore fan of this, you're going to want to make sure you watch this. But it does not necessarily mean you're not going to be able to follow the story in Doomsday if you don't come and see this. Like maybe that's what he meant to say. If that's the case, then it was still stupid, because you just told an audience that, hey, we are holding you proverbially hostage. You have to come. You want to watch Doomsday? Guess what? You also have to go and buy a ticket for a movie you've seen probably 10 times already and could just walk at home, but you have to come to the movie theater and buy another ticket to come and watch this for the 4 extra minutes of footage, or else there's no point in you coming to watch Doomsday. And that is a dumb comment. And listen, the Russo brothers are smart enough, because they're super intelligent, and they're bright enough to know that the headlines are going to just highlight this. That's the headline. Joe says Avengers Endgame is required to understand Avengers. You have to know, if you're the Russo brothers right now, who have played this game with this fanatical Marvel fan base long enough, that you can't say something like that. So look, number one, I clearly do not think Kevin Feige would permit that to happen. I don't think Kevin Feige would permit that. Like nobody's going to be able to understand or follow the story in Doomsday unless you see Encore. Kevin Feige wouldn't allow that. But the second thing is, then that's not something you used to say in your pressers, and the Russos, who are brilliant guys, should know well enough not to say stuff like that, because it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. And I am able to say that because I am a passionate fan of these two guys. I think the world of them. And so because I think the world of them, I will say that was a really dumb thing to say. So I do not believe it at all, despite these headlines. And it's understandable why outlets are running these headlines, because that is what the Russo brothers said. But I don't believe for a second, guys, that anybody out there should ever feel like they have to go watch Avengers Endgame Encore. I'm going to go, because I'm really excited to watch it with a big audience again, and just to experience Portals again in a theater with all the audience. But I don't think anybody out there who decides not to go see Endgame Encore is at all in danger of not being able to understand what's going on in Doomsday from the movie itself. Anyway, Chris, you read the interview, you saw the comments. I don't know, what's your takeaway from it?
Yeah, I have two minds on it. One, I'm thinking like you, it's probably misspoke and is maybe just more speaking Endgame in general. We've heard that Doomsday works more as like a sequel to Avengers Endgame, and so maybe he just means Endgame itself is something you'd probably want to have fresh in your mind going into Doomsday. But honestly, the other thing I'm starting to notice more with Encore is, to me, it's coming out more like audience training for Infinity Vision, because I feel, because also with that, so let's say you were someone who purchased your Encore tickets. Well, I hope it was an Infinity Vision certified screening, because they said that's going to have the extra footage, and if you didn't, it wouldn't have all the extra footage. It'll have some, like the deleted scenes. But in their actual release, they said an additional sneak peek at film will also be available to audiences who see Avengers Encore on IMAX and Infinity Vision certified screens. So it's like, how could this be such required viewing if even some of the people buying tickets to Encore aren't going to get that full scene either? So to me, it seems more like it's like we really want to make clear premium format or Infinity Vision screens. Get you an idea of what that is in your theater. So when Doomsday comes around, you're buying that screen right there. So that's honestly more how I see it. But yeah, there's no way 4 minutes can be that crucial to understanding Doomsday.
Yeah, and again, need to lay this out again. Infinity Vision isn't a real thing, just so everybody understands. Exactly. It is a marketing gimmick. All it is the specialty screens in all the theaters. It's real to me, damn it. Like WWE, it's real to me. Yeah. All that means is all the specialty screens. So you're talking your 4DXs, you're talking your AMC XLs, you're talking about your Dolby screens, you're talking about your, they just put a label on it and said, we're calling those screens Infinity Vision. It's a made up thing. Doesn't mean anything, just so y'all know. But yeah, again, look, I am still, look, I said earlier, I'm planning on going to see this, but I'm going to be honest with you. There's not a single ounce of me that's going to see it because of whatever the new footage might be. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it. And yeah, it's interesting that we'll get to an exclusive look at a Avengers Doomsday preview. That's cool. My whole thing about going to, because, I'll probably see that stuff on YouTube, but my whole thing about going is just that there have been few movies that have had the pure experience of watching in a movie theater with an audience like Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
I don't think Endgame's as good as Infinity War, but as far as that pure experience being in that theater, man, when like either Cap is fighting himself or obviously the portal scene and like it's or I am Iron Man or all that kind of stuff. Just these big experiential moments with a big crowd all reacting together is honestly one of the best in theater experiences I've ever had. And I'm going because I want to experience that again.
Yeah.
And the extra footage is just a fun little thing, but I get it. They're trying to convince suckers into just buying tickets that they don't need to buy. But again, love the Russos. They're awesome. Love them dearly. But that was a dumb thing to say. They really shouldn't be saying stuff like that because it's obviously not going to be true. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The Russo brothers have said that watching Avengers Endgame Encore is required to follow the story of Doomsday. I think it was a misspoke and they should have known better than to say it. I don't think that's actually true. I don't think you're in any danger of not being able to follow the story of Doomsday if you don't buy tickets to go watch Encore. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's now time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we've got two things we have to do. First is bid good afternoon to these gentlemen. First of all, of course, Chris Parker, 3C Films. Thanks so much for being here, Chris. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you, John. On my way to go see Buddy, Killer Unicorn now.
Woo! Go enjoy it, man. And, of course, our technical director, Jonathan Voico. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's on my list too, but I'm off to see Coyote, so I'll see you guys later.
Go and enjoy. And of course, the other thing we got to do before we move on to your questions is pay some of the bills around here by thanking the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Quince. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Quince. August is a great time to reset a few things before fall gets crazy, and one of the easiest places to start is your closet. That's where Quince comes in. Quince is all about fewer, better pieces made with premium materials that are designed to actually last. We're talking ultra soft organic cotton tees, Mongolian cashmere sweaters, premium denim, and tailored chinos starting at just $60. And here's what really stands out. Quince prices everything 50 to 80% less than similar brands by working directly with ethical factories and cutting out the middlemen. So you end up paying for the quality, not some giant markup. I've already ordered a number of things from their store. As a matter of fact, I love this shirt. It looks great, and most importantly, it's crazy comfortable. Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/Campea. Get free shippings on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Quince for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show and giving me such slick looking shirts. I've been wearing them on the show recently. Anyway, with that down, guys, let's get over and start taking your live questions here, shall we? And we are going to start things off here, I believe, with Eric. And Eric writes, I remember when I was young, my mom put on the original It. That's the one that was the TV special. And it scared the crap out of me. I'm 29 years old and I'm still not cool with clowns. R.I.P. Tim Curry. Yeah, man, that's the thing about what was so great about Tim Curry's Pennywise is that, you know, you got your modern Pennywise, and I really like the modern It stuff, like both the movie and, of course, It, Welcome to Derry was great. But, you know, Pennywise to Tim Curry didn't look demonic. He looked like a clown. And then that's where it got really messed up. So yeah, man, we talked about Tim Curry passing yesterday. And again, one of my favorite Tim Curry movies is the one he did with Sylvester Stallone called Oscar. Make sure you guys go and check that one out. All right, next up. Zhao writes, I think it's a post-credit scene and it's shocking. Well, yeah, we do know there's going to be a post-credit scene. Like they've announced publicly there's going to be a new post-credit scene that kind of acts as a bridge between Endgame and Doomsday. That will be fun, and I'm sure we'll go, wow, but I also don't think if it's something we miss that we're going to go into Doomsday and not understand what's happening. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be something fun. I think it's going to be good. I'll look forward to seeing it, but I don't think it's going to be vital. Reza writes, wife's cousin is Najee Harris and just got traded to the Giants. Wow. Super excited. Love him. Jackson Dart and Cameron Skataboo, who of course, it was too bad he went down with that injury last year. It's going to be a great season. Again, somebody asked me who's my dark horse team this year. They are not going to whiff the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to get close to the Super Bowl. But with them getting one of the best coaches in the NFL, they got John Harbaugh this offseason. They're going to be a much improved team. I think they are honestly going to be challenging for a playoff spot this year, which a lot of people laugh at me when I say it, but I think they are. Anyway, BK writes, what do you think of Marvel creating a fictional war with in real life parables that can slide along the timeline with Magneto for his origin? I mean, yeah, that's not beyond something that look at Superman, right? You're talking about doing something like what James Gunn's Superman did, where he created two fictional countries and created a fictional war that is happening in Superman's world that he and other members of the Justice Gang are responding to. You can do that with Magneto's history, saying, well, back in 1979 or 1983 or whatever, the nations of Umskudistan and Pakafasesha were creating genocide against each other, and a young Magneto was caught in the middle. Yeah, you could do that. You can. And they may. The power, though, something that made us feel it more, was the fact that it was a real thing. When we watched that first X-Men movie that Bryan Singer did, and they opened the movie with young Eric in the situation that was real in our world, there's something that has more emotional punch. That has way more emotional punch. So they could do that, and it's perfectly fine if they do, and it would still work, and they may do that. But I think there's something far more impactful if they make it based around an actual, real historical atrocity. There's just something that makes us feel it a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think that would be something that would be powerful. And again, they could do that other thing. They could. I just don't think, again, that it would carry that same impact, that same emotional punch, or give us the same reaction if it had been done otherwise. So anyway, next up, Derek sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that, man. And Derek writes, good day, John. Now that you can have guests appear remotely more easily, have you thought about reaching out to the Flick Pick to have them on the show? I don't personally know them. I only really have people on the show that I know. And I'm not really looking to bring in random guests, although there are some fabulous people out there, right? Absolutely. 100%. I'm just saying that I kind of like setting up a regular rotation. And right now I love my rotation, right? We got Rob on Tuesdays and Fridays, and he's also joining me Monday nights for Lanterns. I like Mondays that we got Christian. Wednesdays, we've got Sean. Thursdays, we've got 3C. I kind of like that rotation, and they're all people I know in real life. So I kind of, and I know Dan Merle, so you'll probably see Dan pop in now and again. Again, it's not impossible that I could have some other really good people on at some point, but I'm not really going to do that regularly or go out of my way for that. I've got a great rotation right now. It's always been with people that I actually know. And yeah, again, not saying I won't make exceptions here and there for really good people, but yeah, so that's not something I'm really looking to do on any kind of a regular basis. All right. Mark writes, good piece on Tim Curry yesterday. Do you remember Earth 2, a mediocre 90s sci-fi show that made much better by having both Tim Curry and Clancy Brown in supporting roles? You know what? I am familiar with it, but I never watched it. I'm familiar with it, but I never actually watched it. So I didn't know. First of all, Clancy Brown is another one, man. That dude, he's a boss. I love Clancy Brown. He is in 2 of my 10 all-time favorite films. Obviously, the original Highlander and Shawshank Redemption. He is just the man. I love him. But yeah, I never did watch that one. I never saw that one. All right. Next up, we got Brothers Webb, who writes, Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, has passed away today, surrounded by family and friends. It's a sad day for everyone impacted by his voice. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I kind of waxed poetic a little bit earlier about his passing, and what it hits a little bit more personally for those of us who like, that's Optimus Prime, man. But not just that. We'd be remiss if we didn't also remember the guy just had a fantastic voice career. Like, we grew up to more than just him as Optimus Prime. We may not have always known it, but it's like, that was also Peter Cullen, and that was also Peter Cullen. He just had a remarkable career, man. Next up, Alex writes, hey, John, did you hear about Peter Cullen's passing? Obviously, we did that in the show today. I never really watched the 80s show, but I was an early 2000s Transformers Armada kid. I know he was like a father figure to you till all are one. Yeah, man. I mean, again, it's just that voice. That voice. To me, as iconic, or at least in the same conversation with the great James Earl Jones's voice as Darth Vader. It's just always be synonymous. It's a tremendous loss for us, Alex. All right, Eric writes, I love Wes Anderson, but I haven't liked any of his films since Grand Budapest Hotel. What are your thoughts on his recent films? I don't like his recent films, I'll be honest. I wasn't a big fan of, now, he's obviously made a bunch of films we love, but French Dispatch I thought was terrible. What was the one he just recently did? Scarlett Johansson and everybody's in it, about the little town with the meteor hit. I totally forgot the name of it. Steve Carell's also in it. But yeah, I didn't think that was any good. There's just been a number of his films lately that I haven't liked, but that's just been a couple. It's not like the streak of, like, say, Ridley Scott, where I've only liked one of his last 11 films, right? So that's not the same. Oh, Asteroid City, that was the name of it. Thank you guys in the live chat. I think Kresh was the first one to throw it in there. Asteroid City was the name of that one. But yeah, I don't think it was and I'll be honest, I didn't love Isle of Dogs either. It's right up my alley, but I didn't love, and I didn't like the Phoenician Scheme. I didn't like that one either. Anyway, yeah, but I have not given up hope on him at all. He's just made way too many good films, and I'll still check out anything he makes. Now, if he makes 5 more in a row I don't like, maybe I'll start to reevaluate. But right now, he's still great in my books. All right. Next up, Alex also writes, my only real exposure to Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime was the live action films in the 2010 show Transformers Prime, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah. And I think a lot of people like of a younger generation clearly will just mostly know him from the movies, right? That he was the voice in the movies and he was still so iconic with the voice. And yeah, man, it's just a tremendous loss. But again, don't forget, he did so much other stuff too. Eric writes, I rewatched one of my favorite films, Inside Llewyn Davis. That's a nice one with Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac is incredible in the role. Have you seen the film? Oh yeah, we talked about it. That was back in the AMC movie blog days. Or no, not the AMC movie blog, AMC movie talk days. By the way, I am considering changing the name of the show from the John Campea Show to Movie Talk, to John Campea's Movie Talk. I'm the one who came up with the name. Maybe I should keep it. Anyway, so I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, but just so you know, I'm giving you a little bit of inside info here. I'm thinking about taking back the name Movie Talk. Anyway, that being said, yeah, that was all. I still remember us. I think it was like Amy Rose and me and Dennis. I can still remember us sitting in the converted closet at the AMC Burbank 16, which was our original studio, and talking about Inside Llewyn Davis. And that was like the real first coming out party, if you will, of Oscar Isaac for a lot of us. And it was his performance in that was really his breakout thing. Like, look, Christian Bale had been around before American Psycho, but we all know Christian Bale today because American Psycho was so good and he was so good in it. It led to a bunch of other roles that ultimately led him to being Christian Bale, right? And I think that was the same thing for Oscar Isaac. I think that movie was the same for Inside Llewyn Davis. All right. Next up, Amin writes, watched Rocky for the first time, and man, it really is the ultimate underdog story. 100% it is. I'm going to see I Play Rocky at TIFF, where it will have its world premiere, hoping it's as good as it looks. I Play Rocky is a great example of a movie that I thought was a dumb idea. I admit it, I thought it was a dumb idea. And then I saw the trailer and I saw the presentation they gave for it at CinemaCon, which was even more footage. And that completely changed my mind. I went from thinking I Play Rocky was a dumb idea to this is one of my most anticipated films of the year. Like that. So I cannot wait to watch this movie. I think it's going to be great. And I'm really looking forward to it. All right. Kresh writes, hearing that James Gunn and Peter Safran staying despite a merger. Nope. All that is there is that Paramount wants to keep them, but there has been nothing said that James Gunn will stay. And again, it's never been an issue about whether Paramount wants to keep them. That's been on record for a while now. Like, and just doubled down on again today. Paramount wants to keep them. But I don't think James Gunn stays if the merger goes through. I don't think he does. I think mid-2027, he'll exercise his contractual right to leave. Now, just to be clear, again, I always want to give this disclaimer. James Gunn didn't tell me that. None of James Gunn's people told me that. I may be wrong. I'm just a fan like everybody else speculating, but just my own fan speculation is when I look at the tea leaves, I think he's going to leave, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Jake writes, I'm not advocating for piracy, but instead of paying money to spend my whole night rewatching a movie I own, I'm happy to look up the post credits online. And listen, you're not alone, Jake. I think a lot of people are going to be doing that. But again, for me, it's about having another chance to relive one of the best in theater experiences you can have. And that's watching Avengers Endgame with a big audience. That's what I'm going to go for. Like, I'm going to go watch Encore for that. I don't know how many more opportunities we're going to have to watch Avengers Endgame on the big screen again. And so that's what I'm going for. Sure, I could sit on the same couch I sit on every single day, watching the same TV I watch every single day, and watch Endgame again, which I obviously have access to through Disney Plus. Sure, I can do that. But for me, it's about the experience of watching it in a movie theater with an audience. That can't be replicated at home. So that's what I'm going for. But I totally understand where you're coming from, Jake. And I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people are going to be, taking that same approach. All right. Alan writes, The sheriff is Carrie Kane. Batwoman is Kate Kane. The sheriff is from Gotham. She's part of the Bat family. She knows James. It was Barbara Gordon. You can believe that, and maybe it'll turn out to be true, but I think this is another example of fans stretching to find what I call meaning mining. Like something happens in a show or a movie, and every detail we try to find deep Easter egg like meaning to it. That's what I call meaning mining. And yeah, I don't buy it. And I think a lot of times too, we said this in the after show for Lanterns, that I definitely think they probably drop a few things in just to get everybody talking, but it's only for the purpose of getting people talking. Again, I think that's just one of those over reading way too much into it. Again, I could be wrong, right? But 9 times out of 10, it ends up being, whenever these meaning mining things happen, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't end up being anything. 1 time out of 10, it does. Maybe this is that 1 time out of 10. Maybe not. We'll find out. All right. Let's see. Next up, Chris sends in a $50 super chat. Chris, thank you so much, man, for supporting us in that level. It's incredibly generous of you, dude. And Chris writes, love from Victoria, BC. Love Victoria. Only 1 showtime per day for Encore here, and it's at 2 p.m. Hoping they will add more once it gets closer to opening day. Even if you don't make it an official stop for a meetup, you should bring Colossus and explore Vancouver Island. I don't know if I'll get to Vancouver Island, but one of the other movie meetup legs we are absolutely doing this year before the winter is a Canadian stretch, which we've never done. I mean, we've hit Toronto and Hamilton, but actually doing a Canadian stretch. So maybe in late October, early November, we're going to drive all the way up, like through San Francisco, through Portland, through Seattle, and we're going to go to Vancouver. May not make it to Vancouver Island. I mean, I've spent a bunch of time on Vancouver Island, but we're going to do Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, my old city that I lived in for like 6 years, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, where Super Dave Osborne got his genuine Saskatchewan sealskin bindings. That was always one of my favorite lines from Super Dave. Of course, he's strapped in for safety with his genuine Saskatchewan sealskin bindings. A lot of you don't know that reference, but for those of you who do, you know that's hilarious. And yeah, so that will happen at some point. That will absolutely happen. Hey, man, thank you so much. Again, and yes, we will be coming, and thank you again for that super chat, man, and supporting us on that level, dude. That's incredibly generous of you. And no, I mean, it will not be snowing in early November in Canada. It will not be snowing in early November. I don't know why people think Canada is like, I mean, if you go super north, yeah. But I mean, I don't think Canada has the same seasons. Like the vast majority of the population of Canada live at the same or below how North New York is. I mean, it's not perpetual winter. It's not Winterfell. Okay. It's not perpetual winter in Canada. We have all 4 seasons. All right. Next up. Let's see here. Dominic writes, looking forward to Behind the Mask 2, the return of Leslie Vernon. Any interest in the sequel? Of course. Any of you guys who have watched me over my career, going all the way back to the movie blog days, one of my all-time favorite indie horror films, if not my absolute favorite all-time indie horror film, is Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is not just a great horror film, but it's even more so a great comedy. It's both. It's amazing. And it's a great dissection of the horror genre itself. If you guys have not seen Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, you absolutely must get a couple of friends and watch it tonight. It's amazing. And yeah, I'm super excited and shocked that they're doing a sequel now, like 15 years later, but I'm going to be very excited to watch it whenever it's available. All right, next up. Frank Castle writes, if Doomsday isn't amazing and successful as we hope it is, the box office for Secret Wars has gone with the wind's inflation adjusted number in sight. Yeah, I don't know about that, but my God, if Doomsday, and this is a big if, but if Doomsday just lives up to the median level of the previous 4 Kevin Feige, Russo brothers, Marvel movies, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. if it just ends up being, if it ends up just being as the average goodness of those 4 films, the box office potential for Secret Wars simply becomes stupid. Like it just simply becomes something that's stupid. So yeah, it will be ridiculous. Now, again, there's a lot of ifs. Maybe Doomsday is just pretty good, not lives up to the standard of greatness as those other 4 films, or maybe it even disappoints. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But if those things happen, yeah, the potential box office for Doomsday is ridiculous. All right, Madaween writes, Peter gave us John Wayne in robot form. Kind of true. Next to Mel Blanc, that's probably the one name that's bigger. And James Earl Jones, he was the voice of my childhood. I mean, it really can't be overstated. I mean, that's exactly what it was. When I think of animated voices from when I was a kid, that's it. It's for a lot of people, it'll be the guy who did the voice of Batman in the animated series. But for me, it's Peter Cullen. That's the voice. And man, did we lose a great one. All right. Seconds from Disaster writes, do you have any plans to go see Jason and Frank's final movie, Legend of the White Dragon? Jason David Frank's final movie, Legend of the White Dragon. I'm taking my sister tomorrow night. We are 41 and 46 years old. I don't have any plans on it, to be honest with you. I mean, gosh, how long ago did he pass away now? It was a while. Like, I'm terrible with measuring time and remembering time, but wasn't it like minimum 2 years ago that he passed away? I might be having maybe it wasn't that long ago, but in my head, it feels like it was at least, people in watch are saying it was like 3 years ago. Yeah, I'm going to be, no, I don't have any plans to watch it. It's not something that's on my radar, to be honest with you. Okay. Next up, we have Georgie, who writes, from Charlotte, for Charlotte meetup, Concord Mills is good. It has a big parking lot. Cool that you're coming here. We'll bring my green Avenger hat. LOL. Yeah. So of course, I mean, it's funny. I didn't mention this. I probably should have mentioned this, but I didn't. But, yes, we announced now. It is, boy, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. It is now officially announced that the movie meetup tour is now set. And the next leg of the movie meetup tour is Nashville on September 2nd, Pittsburgh on September 7th, Charlotte on September 8th, and Atlanta on September 9th. We had said before that we were going to do St. Louis after Atlanta, but due to circumstances beyond my control, that's no longer something we can do. I will revisit St. Louis at some point. We'll come back to St. Louis, I promise. But yeah, so there it is. I put this up on my social media. By the way, guys, if you do not follow me on social media, there it is, both on Threads, Facebook, or Instagram. I'm out of that cesspool known as Twitter. But if you want to follow me on Instagram, and please do, go follow me on Instagram. I'm at John Campea. But I did share on my social media and in the community tab on the YouTube channel that this is the schedule for the next round of meetups. And I'm looking forward, if you're in any of these cities, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys then. Bunch of people asking, when's Houston? Dude, we already did 2 places in Texas. Like, we already did Austin and we did Dallas. So Houston's going to have to wait. Maybe we'll get around to Houston, but I mean, I don't have any immediate plans for Houston, like I said, because we've already did 2 cities in the state, but I certainly get a lot of requests for Houston. So we'll keep that one in mind. All right. Let's keep things going here, shall we? Next up, we've got the Millennial Bard, who writes, hey, John, big fan. Thank you. Cullen is Optimus. James Earl Jones is Vader. Conroy is Batman, and Hamill is Joker. Mount Rushmore of voice acting. I don't know. I mean, Mark Hamill, listen, the thing about voice actors is that a lot of the best ones, most people wouldn't recognize their names or know their names, right? There are a lot of voice actors who've had a lot more iconic roles and done a lot more roles and done a lot more stuff that we know than Mark Hamill did. And you know how I feel about Mark Hamill, right? Obviously. Tito Mark. But so I don't know if I would say that's the Mount Rushmore. I mean, definitely Mel Blanc would be up there. I think Peter Cullen, when you look at the pure breadth of his work, again, when you're talking about Peter Cullen, it's not just Optimus Prime. Like, he did a ton of these iconic voices. And I think if you're going to put together a Mount Rushmore of voice acting, it can't just be for a couple of singular characters that you know. I think it has to be for a body of work, right? It has to be for a body of work. So that's the way I would do it at any rate. All right. Next up, we got Jackson who writes, will the St. Louis meetup be on the way to Canada leg or the one after? If you're not sure, no biggie, just curious. It's probably not going to happen till next year because St. Louis is nowhere near me. It's absolutely nowhere near me. And the Canadian leg will be starting in Vancouver, which is way out on the West Coast. Again, I will get to St. Louis. If we were going to do it on this trip, unfortunately now I can't, but it won't be a part of the Canadian one. It'll probably have to wait till next year just because it really is nowhere near me. I mean, St. Louis is like 4 days drive away from me. So it's not going to be anytime immediately soon, but we will get around to it. We will. All right, next up, Mike T54 sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Mike. And Mike writes, hey, John, I have a game for you. You get transported to the future and are given a choice. You can see the next Nolan film or the next Spielberg film. That's all the info you have. Which you're picking and why? Spielberg. He's the greatest filmmaker of all time. Yeah. Like, all due respect to Christopher Nolan, who's probably like right now the best in the game right now, but Steven Spielberg is the greatest of all time. So yeah, it'll always be the next Spielberg movie. That's it. You could say Steven Spielberg and anybody else. It's Steven Spielberg. That's the one I want to see next. Would Chris be ahead of a lot of other filmmakers? Absolutely, because it's Christopher Nolan. But as long as Steven Spielberg's still making movies, and he is the greatest to ever do it, yeah, I will always pick his. I will always pick his, 100%. All right. Good question, Mike. Next up, Mark writes, save A-list spots by paying first, few days before showing, refund, then immediately purchase those seats again using A-list. You can keep using A-list. Do this off-peak hours. Been doing this for years. It's a good strategy until you run into Doomsday and Dune 3. Because then you're effed. Because those seats all sold out. And I'm one of those guys that I want to go immediately. I'm not going to wait for a Thursday at 11:30 in the morning screening. I want to go the moment it's starting to play for its first time. And so that works if you're going to go see, I don't know, Coyote versus Acme. You can totally do that. Buy the ticket 5 minutes before you go, cancel the ticket, and then re-get it because there's going to be tons of seats. You can absolutely do that for Insidious. Buy your ticket a few days before the movie, cancel it, use your A-list to get all the remaining seats. It's not so easy when your spots are booked up with Doomsday and Dune 3. So it's a very good strategy, but like most strategies, it doesn't work under every circumstance. And this is one of those circumstances where it probably wouldn't work. But overall, it is a good strategy, Mark. It's a good strategy overall. All right. L. Porkster writes, John, why don't you talk about, no idea what that is, the low budget Chinese animated film that made more than $4 million on a $200 million budget, $4 million on a $200 budget is because you don't trust the Chinese support. Yeah, I don't, Chinese box office lies. Like, I'm sorry. I don't believe any When it comes to Chinese movies, I do not believe Chinese box office reporting. And the reason I don't believe Chinese box office reporting is because they are the singular only country on the earth that does not submit their data to third-party auditing. Yet they report their numbers to Rentrax just like every other country does. But unlike every other country, their data is not open to third-party audits. Guys, there's a reason why I never include Ne Zha 2 in any of the listings, because it's bullshit. It's a lie. In my opinion, the way I've evaluated it, to me, I personally believe it's a lie. You can believe anything you want. That's fine. But when you look at like something like Ne Zha 2, you look at every other country in the world. Nobody went to go see it. It's all these really tiny numbers in every other country in the world. Usually when something is that big, it won't be as big as in its origin country, but you'll see a big following everywhere. That movie didn't make, if you believe that movie made $2 billion, God bless you. God bless you if you believe that. I simply do not. It's funny because it only happens in China with Chinese produced movies. Now, some people then ask me, well, do you believe their numbers with other movies? I see no reason not to, because they have no reason to misrepresent the numbers from other movies for other countries, right? There's simply no, to me, there's not an inherent motivation to misrepresent the numbers of other countries' movies. So I don't really have a problem with accepting Chinese box office reporting when it comes to all other movies. But when it comes to their own, I approach it very dubiously. And maybe I'm right and maybe I'm wrong, but until they allow their numbers to be audited by third parties for authentication, I'm never going to believe it. I just don't believe their numbers. So that's probably one of the big reasons why I don't talk about it. All right. Next up, Mike T writes and sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that, man. Mike writes, apologies if this is a stupid question, but I'm curious. In Superman, Cleveland, my hometown, was used as Metropolis. Okay. I've not heard news of them filming here for Man of Tomorrow. Is that typical not to use the same city for a stand-in? Yeah, actually all the time. As a matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Christopher Nolan used Chicago all three times as Gotham's backdrop. I don't think he did. I might be wrong. I might not be remembering that right, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he used Chicago every time. But no, that's not unusual. They'll change it all the time. They'll just go wherever is the easiest and the most convenient for them to do it. And yeah, and people are saying, yeah, they didn't shoot it all there. He used Pittsburgh for The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. So that's not uncommon. It's actually not uncommon in the movie business. Good question. All right. And one I had to think about, Mike. All right, next up, Zerotz, hope I'm saying that right, writes Optimus Prime till all are one. I hate that movie, but man, that line has never been more appropriate, dude. That line has never been more appropriate. All right, Geo the One sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Geo. Appreciate that, man. I just want to say thanks, John. I know you won't remember this, but 2 years ago, I wrote in, I was 6 months clean. Oh, that's so cool. I was 6 months clean and listening to your show every day. Really helped me keep my mind off it. Well, 2.5 years today. Love you guys and thank you. First of all, I'm very lucky. I've gotten very, very lucky that I have fortunately never had to struggle with addiction. I've never fallen into that. And so I'm very, very fortunate that that's happened for me. I've known people that have. I currently know some people that are going through it. And I know secondhand just how monumentally difficult it is to break any addiction. Any addiction. It's a profoundly difficult thing to do. So I don't think we should take it lightly when we hear of people who have been able to have that kind of a victory. And every day is a victory. Every day you add to that 2.5 years is a victory. And that victory is not 2.5 years, man. That is not an inconsequential victory. That is a significant victory. Still a battle that has to be fought every day, whatever your particular vice is. And you're obviously well on the path to continuing to fight it, but every day is a victory, man. And that 2.5 years is not an insignificant one. So thank you for sharing that, man. It's an honor that you'd share that. All right, next up. Xerox writes again, I think if she returned for Doomsday or Secret Wars, it would work to see her one last time as the character, then recast for the reboot. Obviously, we're talking about the Jubilee thing. Yeah, like it works perfectly well. Like if they announced that she was going to pop up in Doomsday with some of the other older X-Men characters, totally fits. Still age appropriate. One of the older characters, they're totally using older characters for Doomsday. That would be perfectly good. The problem is she didn't say she's talking to the filmmakers of Doomsday. She says she's talking to the filmmakers of the new era of X-Men films. And unfortunately, they're not using previous cast members, and she's kind of aged out of it by this point because of the age range they're putting the characters in. That makes that impossible. Yeah, man, if she said she was going to pop up in Doomsday, that would work perfectly well. Nothing wrong with that. That fits. All right, Cake Man Extreme writes, John, you inspired me to start my own podcast. That's awesome. I think everybody should do that. Will you ever make another update setup of your video or another how to YouTube video before you retire? Yeah, you know what's funny? I was actually just talking to a friend of mine that I probably need to, because I don't think I've done one of those in about 7 years. So yeah, I think at some point, maybe even before the end of the year, I think I'm going to make another how I do everything kind of walk through and general thing about now. Here's the thing. My old video on how to YouTube, the principles are still basically the same, but I think I will probably update it at some point here. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up, Cake Man. I appreciate that. All right. Thagger writes, only a runtime of 4 minutes between the two versions. That's what I understand, but we'll see how that turns out. VJ writes, hello, John. Yesterday's show talked about Flintstones' Ryan Gosling. Anybody else remember the mid-'80s cartoons, The Centurions? That sounds familiar, but I don't really recall. How about that for a live-action adaptation? That would be very cool. Well, here's the thing, VJ. If none of us even remember the name, it's probably not a good idea for a reboot. Because part of the power, part of the effectiveness, part of the allure of rebooting those old titles is that it brings with it nostalgia that can motivate people to want to go out and see it, right? That's the appeal for studios of that stuff. If you're having to ask the room, does anybody remember this? Then it's probably not a good candidate because it doesn't bring along the nostalgia factor that would have people instantly interested in going to see it. So for that reason, that's probably not a good candidate. It's probably not a good candidate. That's not to say that the show wasn't any good. I don't even remember it. Maybe the show was great, but if nobody remembers it, then there's probably not much of a point of doing it. All right. Quay writes, John, I'm so happy you went to a press screen again. One and only time. One and only time. Fuck the haters that have something to say when you do. Do what makes you happy. You earned it. Well, see, that's the other thing. Going to press screenings does not make me happy. Going to press screenings actually definitively make me unhappy. Press screenings are useless. They're absolutely useless. They serve no function and they bring no benefit to me whatsoever. However, I made this one exception this one time for Coyote versus Acme simply because I got challenged to put my money where my mouth is. And even though I believe this movie is going to flop horribly, and it will, Coyote versus Acme is going to flop terribly, that go see that the movie's as good as I think it looks and everybody's saying it is, and start giving it some promotion to see if you can help turn that around. I decided to do that, but this is the only time. This is the only time. I'm not doing press screenings other than that, because one of the things that I remember, Ann and I are like driving it, because I got to drive out to LA, right? And the time of day we had to drive out there, it took us 1 hour and 40 minutes to get there. to watch a movie that I could just watch 4 days later at a movie theater 10 minutes up the road. And I just remember, I just said over and over again in the car to Ann as we were driving, this is why I fucking hate going to press screenings. This is such a waste of time. Fortunately, the movie's really good. And I do encourage everybody to go see it. It's a fun movie, man. It's a fun movie. And maybe they shouldn't have released it, and maybe they're going to lose their shirts for releasing it. But you know what? They're releasing it. So go see it. It's a lot of fun. I feel very good about your chances of having a good time if you go to see it. All right. Last one comes to us from Danito. And Danito writes, full quote, they were talking about Endgame itself. No. They weren't talking about Endgame itself. They weren't. Here's the actual quote. The quote is, I think it is required viewing for following the story in Doomsday. They were not talking about Endgame. I mean, obviously they're talking about watching Endgame Encore. Yes. But it is explicitly said to follow the story in Doomsday. This is required viewing. Okay. Whatever else was said in the quote is fine, but that's the line. It is not required viewing to fully understand the new Endgame. It is required viewing. It is required to watch Endgame Encore for following the story in Doomsday. And that's where the problem comes up. That is clearly where the problem comes up. Anyway, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to the thousands of you guys in the live chat. It's been a lot of fun watching you guys in the live chat and having you guys fill in some of the information gaps when I ask you guys to fill me in. The conversations have been great. You guys aren't just watching the show. By being there in the live chat, you're actually part of the show. So thank you so much for being there. And yeah, big thanks again to 3C Films for being here. We'll talk to him again next week. Make sure you come back and join us tomorrow. It's going to be me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and of course, Jonathan Voico again. And we hope you will grace us with your presence one more time. That will do it for me for today, guys. My name is John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.